So I have quite a few different sizes of this type of seam ripper, and I have lots of embroidery scissors and thread cutting scissors, as well as this particular, I think it's Henkel's thread cutter. Which one's the best and which one worked for the different projects? So the one thing I found is there's no really sharp point on that. So what that means is, for getting in really tight, very fine stitches, the only way is to use one of these to just get under the stitches and to pull it up and cut it as normal. Now I know that with this orange bit here, so the plastic, it is designed so that you can put the orange bit on the inside of the seam and then just pull and it'll cut the fabric. On thick fabric I found this does work quite well. However, with thin cotton fabric or silks or anything, I have tended to slice the fabric more than cut the threads. So I have learned not to do that. What I found is, yes, you can pull it tight, but it's actually remarkably difficult to cut with this when it's tight. What I found is actually easier. Just give it a tug, and then you can actually get into the loops. So this progresses quite quickly then. But if you pull it tight, it's actually very difficult. So in this case, you can sort of give it a little tug. Not too much. Some fabric is too sensitive to tug quite that much. You might have to use something else, but as long as I can get under the loop, it's generally quite easy to just cut a loop, and then it will pull a few stitches more. Now I've got some very tight stitching here, which is proving to be a bit of a pain, but normally you can just get in there and get under there. Now if I compare that progress to the other type of seam ripper, so let me just clear this, it's going quite well. Now sometimes with certain types of thin thread and the thick fabric, you can just give a good yank and actually all the stitches will snap. Not really my favorite when you're using fine fabric, because then you're likely to damage the fabric, create holes, or occasionally something nasty. So you can see that goes at quite a reasonable speed. So let's compare this now. It'll probably be quite similar. So in some ways it's quite similar. I think, personally, I find, well, just because it's harder for me to hold this because I have large hands, although I could use a larger one or use embroidery scissors on. It's working the same, but it's harder for me. So let me go back to this one and see if I'm hallucinating. So I grab in there, get in there. So I find this a little easier. At first I thought this is much more difficult, but once I realized releasing the fabric creates loops that this knife will go in. And what I found sometimes is it's worth just reducing the size of the blade as well. That can help with the aim, but it's entirely up to you, up to the user, what is the best approach. So this is actually quite pleasurable. It's not as, the hard part for me was doing the corners, because I had stitch the corners very securely, so I had to go through with the standard stitch ripper to get those corners freed up. But once I did that, then now it's just a matter of going along these long seams, and it's not at all that difficult to do. It's just a matter of keep hooking under the loops where the lock stitch joins like this. So I'm just pulling those so I can see the loop, and then you just slice the loop and both threads get cut. So that works quite effectively. So anyway, I just was intrigued with this since I had a stupid moment last night. This is actually my cushion liners that I'm working at the moment. And of course I had a back to front moment. I don't know if you've all had that, where the lining of course has to be wrong sides to each other what's sewn so that it makes the right sides on the interior. But in this case I had a complete brain fail and did it the wrong way around. I'm like, So I realized this when I went to bed last night and thought, oh, gross. So I knew I was going to have to unpick these stitches today. But that's okay, I don't mind, because I know it's very quick sewing these back. The pieces fit perfectly. I won't make the same mistake twice. So it's a pretty quick stitch up. Just 2 long seams and then around sort of the corner where the zipper goes, just to hold it in place. Anyway, wish you all a wonderful day, and I shall look forward to speaking with you all soon. Bye for now.